Then she has the nerve to say that Superman sees the good in people, but she sees the truth. Well, Superman's inherent ability to see good and do good is kind of the thing people like about him, you dumb bitch. So excuse us if people don't like your stupid character. Supergirl definitely set out to distance itself from its cousin movie, Superman. Whereas Superman sees the good in people and always seeks to do good, Supergirl sees people for who they really are. Because she's so wise and such a realist. She's also a drunk, but she's allowed to be a drunk because her trauma is valid. And we should spend 40% of a big Hollywood movie affirming and validating her trauma. And then we'll lay out our whole message for the movie about not letting seeking revenge for your trauma drive you. But then we'll have our main character completely upend that message right at the end, because us real bitches do what we want. That there's a little peek into the thinking of the writer of Supergirl. And we'll take another dive into that empty swimming pool of a mind later on, because there's plenty to talk about there. But first and foremost, Supergirl is a lazy movie. Supergirl is a formulaic movie. Supergirl is a bad movie. Now I hope that's enough negative affirmation for the people behind Supergirl, because they deserve it for such a crappy effort. And while they never had it in them to deliver a good film, the star of the movie didn't do them any favors prior to its release either, kinda doing her own miniature Rachel Zegler impersonation. Millie Alcock, waiting until the week before the movie premiered, decided to confirm a few things about her Supergirl character. 1, she doesn't fit into a gender binary, and 2, she had a queer reading of the character like many others did. Ah yes, Supergirl's powers: laser eyes, flight, super strength, defying the gender binary, and X-ray vision. Yep, that sure fits my childhood memory of this superhero. And saying a character is queer-coded is a weird fucking thing to say when the only other significant female character in the movie is 13. I don't think I even want to know how they or them got there. But after all that, all I'm worried about is how to address this movie. I can't call it Supergirl because the character is confirmed non-binary, and people don't seem to know what a girl is. But I can't just say super them 47 times in this video either. Oh well, we'll talk more about everything that's less than super in Supergirl after we recap the movie's story. So, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's they them. Nope, it's spoilers coming to save the day. The movie kicks off with Supergirl's dog, Krypto, peeing on Superman's heroic picture, because the message to get across is that doing good is lame, and being a drunk saddled with crippling trauma is cool. From there, Supergirl is just doing a lot of partying and laying around hungover and filth and basically living like a guy in his third year of college, complete with leaving the door open while she pees. Elsewhere, we meet this movie's big bad villain, Krem, a guy who looks like he wandered in off the set of an Apocalypto Hellraiser crossover. But you know he's a bad guy because his accent is vaguely Russian, and he's super strong without explanation, and that's really the entirety of what there is to say about this villain. Krem visits a nice random family on some random planet and kills all of them, except a little girl. The 13-year-old girl, named Ruthie, her heart now full of grief, then wanders into the nearest dive bar without any of the weird aliens asking for her ID, and she asks around for someone to help her get revenge. Even going so far as to offer anyone who helps her family's legendary sword. Remember that important detail. Ruthie asks Supergirl for help, but Supergirl thinks doing good is for losers, and she's too cool and nonchalant and slightly emotionally disturbed to help. But, luckily, right at that moment, the bad guys show up and shoot Crypto.com before stealing Supergirl's space RV. Crypto.com is going to die in 3 days unless Supergirl can get her hands on the antidote, which the bad guy just happens to carry around his neck. Wow, you couldn't write a story that's more convenient. Supergirl has to take the space bus, and the 13-year-old Supergirl told to stay behind sneaks onto the bus. On the way, some pirates board the space bus and tell Supergirl to get to the back of the bus, but she says she ain't fitting to move, and a fight ensues after the pirates try to steal Ruthie's super important sword, a sequence that this movie wasted 10 minutes on before Supergirl inevitably and predictably wins. Supergirl interrogates the pirates for information on Krem's location that these random pirates in the middle of nowhere in this wide galaxy just happen to know. They go to a dive bar, again, where some alien is trying to buy the 13-year-old girl, which is weird. but it leads to another bar fight and them meeting Lobo, an immortal bounty hunter who looks like a werewolf that joined the band Kiss. And it looks like Lobo is wearing a bodysuit, because Jason Momoa can't be bothered to get abs again. While Supergirl and Ruthie wait for Krem in what looks like space Mogadishu, Supergirl goes on a rant about how Superman is naive and lame, and she's just more of a realist, man, you know what I mean? Then she talks about the fall of Krypton and her family's death, and the promise she made on her mom's deathbed to be good. Not do good, just being good is enough. The movie thinks this trauma dump flashback is supposed to be touching, like we've just automatically bought into the backstory of a drunk who's only doing the right thing because her dog got poisoned, and doing this serves her own interests. What an incredible character study. The brigands show up led by Krem, and it turns out they're trafficking young girls, which seems like an odd Earth problem too real to bring into this comic book space flick. Anyway, with a name like Epstein's Grills Incorporated, they should have known what Krem was up to. The brigands attack, and Supergirl saves Ruthie before beating up all the brigands. I assume some of them died, but they all just kinda get knocked around like this is a kid's show, like Power Rangers. Supergirl frees the trafficked girls except one that Krem killed, so Supergirl needs to blast into space to woman scream in silence, as she struggles with all the trauma she's been saddled with. Then Supergirl finds more people in the middle of the galaxy who know where Krem is, and they take her to a planet that has a green sun which drains the life out of her. Ruthie saves Supergirl from the green sun, and then Supergirl calls her supersuit stupid and makes Ruthie go get her water, which gets Ruthie captured. But not Supergirl, because I guess the bad guys couldn't bother to look for her 50 feet from where they captured her partner. Lucky for her, the 13-year-old girl is able to wrestle the gigantic dude guarding her cell and knock him out. The yellow sun rises, and Supergirl regains her strength, finally putting on her iconic supersuit, which I guess isn't stupid anymore. Ruthie gets recaptured aboard the brigands' ship, but Supergirl appears in the sky to finally do good. But she's only able to get out the B word before getting harpooned. But then she proceeds to beat a bunch of dudes off while Lobo shows up to help, because why wouldn't he randomly be here? Some girly rendition of Jimmy Eat World plays while Supergirl does her thing in slow motion, beating off more dudes, saving more trafficked girls, and defeating Krem. Ruthie wants to finish Krem off, but Supergirl talks her out of it, telling her it won't make her feel good, and the two have a nice cry sesh over their shared trauma. Then Supergirl swoops in and steals the kill for herself, completely forgetting what she preached to Ruthie 14 fucking seconds ago. Great writing, Anna. But now, remember that really important family sword that will be bestowed upon whoever would help Ruthie get revenge? Well, here, at the end of the story, you know what happens with it? Absolutely fucking nothing. It's forgotten about completely. Supergirl grabs the antidote which revives Crypto.com. Supergirl then invites Ruthie to a pub crawl like she isn't 13, and the two blast off toward another dive bar. Then Supergirl returns to Earth where she's back for the time being to do good for Earth. In the next movie, maybe. Not this one. Then the dog eats chocolate and the poisoning cycle starts all over again. The end. Holy crap, what a lazy movie. Supergirl is formulaic garbage of the highest order. Every single aspect of this movie is forgettable crap that some hack with the right chromosomes threw onto paper. Like the villain. Remember him? Barely? Me too. His name was Krem, like the Kremlin, because Russia bad. Now let's jump back into the mind of the writer, Anna Noguera. Okay, Krem's bad. What's he doing? What's he doing? What's the worst, most evil thing my scatterbrain can come up with? Oh, human trafficking. I pretend to care about that in real life, so let's make that the evil bad thing in my big Hollywood movie. Should I explain why it's happening, where the girls are going, and how it's hurting everyone? No! Human trafficking is self-explanatory to me, so I don't need to waste time on anything like that. Okay, that's perfect so far. No notes. Let's move on to our heroine, Supergirl. Okay, she can't just be perfect all the time. How can I hamper this little bitch? Bring her self-righteous ass down to my level. Oh shoot, it's raining outside. I can't work when it rains. Wait, that's it! Supergirl's powers are subject to the weather. Okay, there's red suns, green suns, and yellow suns. Red means go, green means stop moving. Damn, I'm such a good driver. And yellow gives her strength, like lemons. Fuck, I love lemon. I could literally put lemon on everything. I genuinely don't think that train of thought was that far off from what the writer went through in writing this script. It's so lazy. Even the messaging was lazy. How can I make a critique of Superman's do-goodery and say that it's a simplistic take on an idealized world that doesn't exist in reality? I have no idea. I suck, and that's too much thinking. Let's have a dog pee on his picture. And then let's have a drunk call him naive. I bet this hack pumped this script out in a weekend and spent 5 more months sitting around while she put the finishing touches on it. And Supergirl herself is pretty hard to like. She starts off like a drunk, which is also how she was introduced in Superman last year. She's constantly shit-talking Superman, or her supersuit, or the idea of helping people. She wears a pervert's trench coat for almost the entire movie, probably because the Supergirl logo is too problematic or some shit. She's only dragged into helping people because her dog gets hurt. And sure, she eventually sees the need for and the value in doing good for others. But she has to see like a lot of violence, a handful of murders, and hundreds of trafficked teenage girls to get there. Which seems like a lot. And it's a struggle for her to get over her own trauma enough to help others. Just encouraging people to wallow in their own self-pity, which it's okay to prioritize over everything else in your life, apparently. Then she has the nerve to say that Superman sees the good in people, but she sees the truth. Well, Superman's inherent ability to see good and do good is kind of the thing people like about him, you dumb bitch. So excuse us if people don't like your stupid character. I don't know who wants to see a movie centered on an emotionally crippled, self-serving alcoholic passing judgment on her betters. Also, I have to wonder how much people care about Supergirl solving problems for beings on the other side of the galaxy. What have you done for Earth lately, huh? How about the old US of A, huh? The main character, the villain, the story, the messages, it was all just one hot, lazy mess. James Gunn didn't write or direct Supergirl, but he seems to have shot his DNA all over the face of Supergirl. Every backwater space shithole the movie took us to was indistinguishable from those of Guardians of the Galaxy. And the movie leaned into Gunn's penchant for vomiting colors all over the screen. Speaking of vomit, a lot of this movie had this weird vomit brown tint to everything, which was an odd, off-putting choice. Maybe it just matched Supergirl's pervert trench coat. The effects were not particularly impressive in any way, which, for a movie with a $175 million budget in 2026, is kind of an impressive feat in its own right. And Supergirl had this weird breaststroke move she would do before taking off in flight, which I guess makes sense when I think about it. I would say that in a 1 hour and 40-minute movie, I had one glimmer of enjoyment during the final fight. Just a glimmer. And that's it. Which, I mean, maybe they're being consistent. The overall message of this movie, and this character, after all, is to be good. Not to do good. Simply, being good is enough. You don't need to lift a finger, just be good. So if they can just call this a good movie, without actually putting in the work and making a good movie, then maybe they really are practicing what they preach. So kudos to them. It's early on release day, but as of right now, Supergirl is getting a 76% from viewers on Rotten Tomatoes that I doubt will stand the test of time. And on Metacritic, audiences have it at a 5.3. Early box office projections have Supergirl tricking people into giving them $80 to $90 million globally. Set against a $175 million budget, they're considering anything over $300 million at the box office a win. And after seeing the movie, all I can say is good luck. Supergirl is definitely a hate watch. It's a lazy superhero movie as bland as any other that, in 2 months from now, will be indistinguishable in your memory from all the other ones of the last decade. And it's not worthy of anything more than a 3.5 out of 10. You know, if you want people to get excited about less popular superheroes that are female or obscure, try putting them in a good movie. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think that would do more for the cause. Superman brought in $618 million at the box office. Will Supergirl bring in 74 cents for every $1 Superman made? What did you think about Supergirl? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to HateWatchers for reviews of other current shows and movies. Thank you for doing more good than Supergirl with me today, and I'll catch you on the next one.